What's good, my Souls of Thought family? Welcome back to another podcast episode. This one is named Bunny Hop and it's not the dance, but today is a very special day. I got one of the people who are very tough to get. They either going to an island with their homegirls, going to brunch with their homegirls, or doing all the homegirl things. But she finally made time. And if you've been following me for a while, we actually did a Father's Day podcast together a couple of years ago. Actually, it's been almost 2 years now when we did a. She allowed me on her platform. So today we have Empress Speaks. She is from Chicago. She is an entrepreneur, a podcaster, a blogger, an author. And what's most important, she's a creator. So we're about to bring her to the stage and let her introduce herself a little bit more. And then we're going to get into the episode. So thank you for giving me some of your time today.
He likes to put stuff on me. Guys, don't believe him. Do not believe him. But finally, I'm on his podcast. And again, like he said, my name is Keisha, but you can call me Empress Speaks Keish. I do have a podcast. I'm a blogger, like he said. And my podcast is Empress Speaks Fashion, Faith, Love, Life. I'm also on YouTube. I'm on TikTok as Empress Speaks Keish. I do a lot of motivational and inspirational videos. So I finally, he did a podcast with me in the past and it was great. And we've been saying, listen, we need to do this again. We need to do this again. But he blames it on me, but it's really him. So yeah, but happy to be here today.
Thank you. And if you guys are watching, I have her actually her name and where you can follow her at. It should be the same at all your platforms, right?
It's Empress Speaks on Instagram. It is Empress Speaks Keish, but minus the A. Same thing on IG. On IG, on TikTok is the same. Empress Speaks Keish. And on Facebook, it would be my full Keisha Belizean Empress Castillo. And like he said, I am from Chicago, born and raised in Chicago, but I'm of Caribbean descent. I'm Belizean and Honduran. So yeah, I never like to leave that out. If you ask me, I would tell you I'm Belizean, but I cling more to my Belizean side. But I'm both Belizean and Honduran, so I always like to put that out there. But born and raised in Chicago, yes.
And she is a good person, guys. She's a very good person. I don't say that lightly. Man, it was probably about 4 years ago during the pandemic when my children came to visit me here in the DMV. My daughter needed her hair done, and I did not know where to go. And Keish hooked me up. She actually stayed there with my daughter for pretty much the whole day. It was like 7 to 8 hours getting her hair done. So I appreciate that. It's hard to find good and reliable people, y'all. So she's a good person. But today we're going to actually be reviewing a little bit of the most famous and infamous Dr. Umar Johnson. Me and Keish was actually going back and forth on IG talking about the little clip, but we're going to actually play it from the beginning so everybody can hear the kind of entirety of the topic, and then we're going to break it down. So let's bring our good old Dr. Umar to the stage here. All right, we're going to let it start.
That ass up early in the morning. The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Jess Hilarious, Charlamagne the God. We are the Breakfast Club. We got a special guest in the building.
He's back.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Umar Johnson. Welcome, brother.
Peace and Pan-Africanism. Good to see you brothers again.
Peace, King. How are you feeling today?
I'm all right.
You see, we got you on the wall over there, brother. You ain't even see it.
You don't even see yourself right there.
Get out of here.
Yes.
Oh, man. Good looking out.
You on the wall.
Good looking out. All right.
How does Dr. Umar feel about being the black boogeyman for interracial relationships?
It's good and it's bad.
Okay.
The good side is I hear from a lot of brothers who have gave up the bunny hopping. They send me messages, inbox. They stop me at the airport. So I do see the positive effect. You know, brother, I'm with a queen now. I see the difference. If I never listened to you, I would have never really evaluated my behavior. That's the good side.
Gotcha.
The not so good side is also get the hate mail from brothers who are committed to the bunny hopping.
Gotcha.
Right. And they can be very aggressive in their repudiation of my position. I was at the airport coming from Atlanta last week, and I don't know what they be expecting, but when I see a brother with his snow bunny at the airport, it's almost as if they expect me to approach them or something. Like we going through security, the brother with the white girl, and they looking at me like they waiting for me to swing on them or something. I'm like, bro, it ain't that deep, man. Your life is your life. I still respect you as a human being. I just don't think your selection is in the best interest of where black people need to be headed. That's all. But when I see them interracial couples, man, they look like they're getting ready for war or something.
Yeah, I mean, because the things you say, they don't know what you're gonna say, what's gonna come out your mouth, if you're gonna grunt, if you're gonna say something. So they gotta prepare themselves.
Right, but see, the essence of the message is still love, though. So even if I disagree with what you're doing, we still family at some level, and she's still a human being regardless. So, you know, sometimes they'll come up to me as a couple, and I'll speak to them as a couple. And they may say, well, can you explain why you don't really agree what we're doing? And I'll do it in a very respectful tone. And I've never had an issue when we had those conversations. Right. So from where my perspective is, I'm like, yeah, I'm strong in my position, but I'm still leading with love. Right. So nobody should ever feel some type of way about seeing me in public, although they do.
I told you I was all the way in Zanzibar. I sent you the video, Dr.
Yes,
Umar. I was in Zanzibar, and a brother from Zanzibar was talking to me, and he was saying how much he liked a lot of the things Dr. Umar said, but he was like, I just don't understand his position on the snow bunnies.
It's a contradiction about how you cut the cake, because those children who are going to be black, how can you tell them be black and proud if you didn't make them with a black woman? You chose to incubate your seed in a non-African woman. How can you then turn around and raise those children to be black and proud when if you were black and proud, you would have chose a black woman to incubate your seed in? It doesn't make sense for the descendant of the slave to be planting his seed in the descendant of the slave master. Now, it's a complete contradiction.
What are your views? Has your views changed on mixed people, right? Because, you know, people will say even if you have a drop of black blood in you, you're black.
I do the one parent rule.
Okay.
So for me, if one of your parents are black, you're black.
Okay.
Take Drake. If he identifies as black full time, he black. And that's never been an issue for us within the Pan-African movement going back to the beginning of time. We've never rejected the offspring of the Union because nobody's responsible for how they got here. And so that's why Bob Marley, there's no contradiction for us. A lot of our ancestors were mixed race. Frederick Douglass, who I'm related to, it's no contradiction because you don't choose how you come into this world, but you still have the DNA of Africa within you, but you got to identify full time. That's where it becomes an issue with our Dominican Republic brothers and sisters, Puerto Rican Africans, Cuban Africans, because sometimes they will either completely reject the African ancestry, right? Or they may say, all
right. So just wanted to give the full spectrum. He actually said he goes into like a long rant. He actually starts talking about some other stuff about you can't even be a black role model if you date outside your race. So he went into this whole gamut. But what I wanted to discuss today is, what is your thoughts about interracial dating?
So for me as a black woman, I to be honest, I don't have no issue with interracial dating. But what I do have an issue with is if you choose your preference, is your preference. If a black man wants to be with a white woman and that's his preference, that's his preference. But the issue that I have is that I feel like when you're down in the black woman, because you're dating a white woman, we get downed because you're dating a white woman. Your preference is your preference. If you prefer, white, Spanish, it doesn't matter. Your preference is your preference. But don't down the black woman because you're dating someone outside of your race. Because you got to remember, you got a black mama, you got a black sister, your grandmother is black, your descendants are black. So, yeah. So that's what I have an issue with. It's like I feel like a lot of men that do choose to date out of their race, and when you ask them why, it's like a downing of the black woman, instead of them simply saying, this is what I prefer.
Okay. So what I'm hearing, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, this is a conversation, guys. We're going to show everybody in the world that you can have a conversation and not a debate. So for what I'm hearing from you is that for you, it's more about not really their preference for dating, but when a black male leads with an insults about black women, or they're very negative about black women. But how do you feel when they compare black women to white women?
That can be an issue to me as well, because our experiences are not the same. And we all know that I can compare a black man to a white man as far as you guys' experiences. Your experiences are not the same, and I don't think will ever be the same. So our experiences are not the same.
Can you elaborate though? And I'm really asking out of curiosity. Like, can you elaborate because we hear this a lot, right? Like, I think we're both in our 30s, right?
No, sir. I am not. I am 41, and
okay. Well, we're still in that same range, you know. So, like, what is the black experience to you?
So let me add this. Okay, since we speaking on race, right? And I will speak on my own behalf.
Mm-hmm.
Both of my parents, like I said, my parents are immigrants. My parents are immigrants. I was a first generation born American. I hate that term, but that's what it is. I'm first generation American. But if you ask me, I would probably tell you I'm Belizean or I'm Honduran. My parents are black, and my parents are Garifuna. Garifuna people, we are from Africa, period. You black Africa. But what I wanted to say is, even me growing up, it was always an issue for me, because my black friends told me I wasn't black. My Hispanic friends told me I wasn't Spanish. They used to call me a mutt growing up. They used to be like, "Oh, you a mutt." That's what they used to call me growing up. So what I mean by our experiences are not the same as a white woman, I don't believe it would ever be the same. Yes, there are things that we can all relate to as women, yes, but they don't have the same kind of experiences that we have in our everyday lives, I don't believe. And I can't say they don't have the same hardships that we do, but I can't speak for all. I can't say they don't have the same hardships that we do, but I do think our lives as black women are a little more difficult.
Okay. Have you dated outside your race?
I have not. I've always dated a black man. Now, he could be from the Caribbean, he could be from Africa, he could be African American, but I've always dated a black man. And let me explain why, though. It's not because whether it's not my preference or not. You know, I've seen a couple of I don't know what you call the white guys, because y'all white girls, no bunnies. What you call the white guys? I don't know, but I've seen a couple that I'm like, yeah, you know, he looked like somebody that I would date, but I feel like they're intimidated. I feel like a lot of times they're scared to approach us, to say, hey, you're beautiful, or I like you, or, you know, something like that. It's very rare. I've never had a white man to approach me to say, oh, hey, how you doing? Oh, you look nice, or, you know, I like you. Spanish men, like white Spanish men are more, they would come and approach you in a minute and be like, hey, mommy, like some morenas. They'll tell you straight up, like they're quick with it, but I've never been approached by a white man. And I've seen, you see them look at you like they want to say something, but I've never got approached. So I can't, I've never had a white guy experience, so I can't speak on being in a relationship.
So if a white male would approach you and you were attractive, would you go out on a date?
I'm open. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm open to it.
So you're not closed off to the idea of interest.
No, love is love. And one of the key things that he said in that video, and I wrote it down, is leading with love. And everything that you do, lead with love. So to me, love is love. I don't care who you are, where you're from. Love is love.
But I feel like he's a contradiction that love is love, because his opinions are so brash and so aggressive. It's no way you can be leading love.
Feel opinions are still one-sided. In other words,
yeah. Okay. Why haven't you approached the white male instead of, if you see him looking at you? What makes you not comfortable approaching someone of a different race?
I would approach. I mean, but I believe, like, the instances that I could recall, it wasn't probably back then. Now I'm more I'm a more, what would I say? I'm more vocal now.
Social butterfly.
Yeah,
Social.
than I was. I used to be very like shy in my earlier years, but now I'm more vocal about like what I want. But if I see a guy that I like, I'm gonna be like, "Yo, what's up?" Like, I'm gonna put my Mac down. If you receive it, if not. But yeah.
And so me and Keith we discussed a little bit during our going back and forth on IG, but I told her to, hey, wait, we're gonna wait. We got
I love having these kind of conversations with him. And to be real, Norris, you're like the only person that I have these kind of conversations with. Like, I don't have these kind of conversations with anybody else. And I love having these kind of conversations. But
we need more of it. We need more of it, because I look at it from my point of view. You know, of course, I was married before, and I was married to a black lady. The mother of my children is black. So it's one of those things. For me, what I have learned, I won't say learned, what I have experienced throughout dating outside my race is more of the open conversation. Like I told you on IG, also it was more of like the education, like the financial, education, the financial literacy, the how to like budget, how to plan, like I never experienced that with an African American woman or a black woman. Like, to me, black women, and this is just my opinion, y'all. Keisha already knows these are my views.
Light him up. Go ahead.
But I see that we as black people live a life that's not really conducive long term. It's like we're trying to keep up with the Joneses, and I don't see a lot of that from white people.
Okay. I could agree with that to an extent.
Go ahead,
I could agree with that to an extent. I do feel like a lot of us, it's more for show. Like, we live above our means.
Yeah.
And a lot of us is more for show. Now, and two, a lot of us are not fully, there's some of us, not a lot, some of us that are not fully educated on financial literacy and things of that such. That I can agree with. But it's not to say that if you get with a black woman, you guys cannot learn and grow and do those things together. You can, but it's depending on what type of woman that you're looking for. That's we're going to get into a whole another thing of that, because it's a whole nother generation of women out here that I'm an old school kind of girl, but it's a whole another generation of women out here that even got us looking like,
yes,
you are not the representation of us, because
yes,
not like that. You know what I mean? But I feel like, I think the debate that me and him was having is that, I feel like, yes, you may get that with a white woman, but you could also get that with a black woman as well. And I just feel like sometimes a lot of our black men, they want to set us at a standard that themselves are not at. It's like, you want your black woman to be we're supposed to be perfect. You got to cook, you got to clean, you got to be submissive, you got to do all of this stuff. But then, are you a leader? Can you lead me? Are you a provider? What's your relationship with God looking like? Because that's my first question. Like, sir, what's your relationship with God looking like? Do you consult with God before you do anything? That's, that shows me the type of man that you are. So a lot of things, I feel like I said, you guys, I'm not gonna say all black men, but a lot of them set us at a standard that themselves are not at. And me as a black woman, and I'm a strong black woman, I grew up with my parents. I was lucky to have both of my parents until my mother passed away. A lot of black women and black men do not grow up with a lot of their parents in the same household. It's rare now that you find a lot of, 2-parent households. So again, it's based on how they were raised as well. That's another factor, to show how they come up as adults. That's a whole nother factor too that could add to like how we are in relationships. You see a lot of extreme independent black women, and there's nothing wrong with being an independent black woman, but there is to the point where it's like they want to be the man in the relationship, or they feel like they don't need a man, and I need a man because I'm tired. I'm not ashamed to say I need a helpmate. I need a helpmate. And it's not for what you could do for me solely. It's because I want you. Like I want you as a person. But anyway, go ahead. I feel like I'm rambling. Go ahead.
No. Hey, this is what this platform is for. We have a conversation. I want people to hear other opinions besides my opinion. With that being said, for me too, I feel that, man, how do I want to word this so that it comes off correctly? A lot of my experiences. No, let me start with this first. Men, every white woman ain't great either. I have to say that because the first woman I ever dated outside my race, it was 3 years of HE double hockey sticks. You know, this woman was, and you know what I learned too, dating outside of my race, is not to pick white women who want to be black. That's what I learned, because if you're trying to date something different from what you normally date, don't go for a woman who's portraying the race that they are around or they hang. Like, that's the one thing I learned. If you're a black male and you're gonna date outside of your race, make sure you get the whitest white woman. If you're gonna go Filipino or Latino, make sure you get like the real deal of that race, because a lot of times there's women who think just because they have a lot of black friends that they think they're black now, and they start to treat men the same way some black women treat men. I won't say the whole race does that. And then but you gotta think about it too, Keys. For you're in a different boat, right? Because you're black, but you're a different what's the good word for, like, a different ethnicity of black. Like, you're not like just a pure black American. Like,
I'm not pure. I'm not African American.
Yeah.
I wasn't raised that way either. My parents, they raised us as if they were back home.
Yeah, and y'all have more traditions, more respect for the male. Like, it's more to it.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things I always try to explain to people too, because right across the street from me, there's a Nigerian church.
Mm-hmm.
And they in church Monday through Sunday. Mm-hmm. But you can see the difference with how the women treat I'm talking about, this is just from my eye view, watching it from my apartment window. It's like these women cater to the men. They bring the food to them. They had like a little carnival the other day. Like, you get to see the respect.
Yeah.
The respect is totally different than what these, man, I don't say these, it's like I'm just putting them in a category, but what like us normal Americans are. I think other cultures have more respect for the male.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you could probably speak more on that. You probably seen it.
Yeah, that's I could say that's true. And I'm sorry to my African American. No, for real. I'm sorry to my African American friends, but there's a lot of, like, in our culture, it's based on a lot of respect, you know. But at the same time, the same way how we respect our men respect us the same kind of way. You know what I mean? They lead us in the same kind of way. So it's like it's an even give.
But but those men are under less stress. Like, the woman is allowing them to be the provider, do the work. Like, they're setting a home for this man to be able to come to after a hard work day. It's, to me, it's more set up for him, because me being raised with my mom and dad, I always tell anybody that I date, it's like, my mom was amazing. You know what I mean? I seen my mom clean the house every night, regardless if she worked or not. She made the beds. Like, she did all this stuff. She ironed my dad uniforms and stuff every day. That's what we were raised in, but you don't get that today.
Yeah, you don't get that today. But let me again. It's a mixture. Like I said, again, it's a mixture, because like you, I grew up with both my mom and my dad. Mm-hmm. My parents were partners. I had 2 home cooked meals a day. Yes. Mom used to cook, and then when I got home from school, my dad used to cook. Mm-hmm. You know, my dad used to do stuff around the house. My mom used to do stuff around the house. My parents were partners. So for me in my mind, I always, even in my past marriage, I was married before as well, I fought for us to be a unit. You know, even in areas where my ex-husband had failed, I didn't show him that he failed. Like whatever he did, I was trying to be there with him to like pull him up. So and I was raised that when you are with someone, you guys are a unit. The unit cannot fail.
So what would you say is hindering you now from finding that person?
It's not reciprocated. I don't feel like, let me tell you what I feel like the biggest issues are out here that can be the biggest issues. Black men don't want to commit. A lot of black men do not want to commit. A black woman can build you up. We will build you up in areas that you lack. We could build you up. We can run a household. A lot of us, even if you have outside children, even if you had children, we would take in your children as our own. But black men do not want to commit, and they don't want to reciprocate the same kind of love that we're given. A lot of times too, black men don't know how to lead. A lot of them do not know how to lead. And again, that goes back to how you were raised. It goes back to how you were raised. When we were talking about the single parent household,
Yeah.
A lot of females that grew up in a single parent household, their hindrance is that they become very, extra independent because that's all that they saw. All that they saw is mom had to do everything. The thing that the man was doing, mom had to do it too. Same thing with boys, that grew up in single parent household, especially if they grew up with their mom, solely with their mom, is they see their mom have to do everything. A lot of times those boys have female tendencies. They grow up with some softness, some real softness, and they don't really know how to lead. So it's very important, so that's why there's in our relationships now, it's terrible. The dating pool out here is terrible. Let me add that. It's terrible. Okay. It's terrible. And that's one of the reasons why, like, if I'm with a man, I want to feel like he can lead me. I want to feel like I need to know that you're emotionally stable. I need to know that you're a God-fearing man. And I need to see how you lead in actions and not by your words, not by you telling me, oh, I'm a leader and you need to be submissive to me. No, I'll be naturally submissive by the way that you act. I need to feel emotionally safe with you. And a lot of times we can't feel emotionally safe with a lot of our black men. And it's real sad. If I'm in a relationship with you and I got to do everything that you're supposed to do too, on top of what I'm doing on my own, it's like, then, why are we together? What's the need for you?
So what is your vectoring system, or what is your what do you, because a lot of times I think we speak out of situations that we encounter, right?
That we've been in, right?
But initially when we first start dating the person, everything's good.
Mm-hmm. Of course, you're going off the attraction.
Yeah, and then something after that, let's say you finally move in together and you're like, oh man, he lost his job, right? And then how do you guys maneuver that? You see what I mean? Like, do you feel like have you ever experienced that? Have you ever experienced hey, everything was going good and then?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
And I'll give my ex-husband as a perfect example. My ex-husband, when we first met, prior to us getting married, he had a government job. He lost all of that. And when we got married, I was solely working a full-time job. Mm-hmm. He always picked up and did other little stuff. But I never made him feel less than. I never made him feel like what you're doing, we can't cuss on here, can we? Mm-hmm. I never made him feel like, oh, you're not shit, you're not this. No. Whatever ideas that he had for us to make some income, I was right there by his side. Even if I had to if it was $10 I had to put out of the $20 that we have left, I'm going to put that $10 because I know you're going to make something out of that $10. But you got to, we're not meeting, I don't feel like we're meeting guys that's putting in that same kind of energy, that same kind of effort. If you're not showing me that you don't want nothing good for yourself or better for yourself, we all go through life situations. Yeah. None of our lives is going to be stable at all times. That anything could happen at any point in time. Mm-hmm. But if you're showing me when those storms happen, that you're not even trying to help to fight yourself out of the storms, there's only so much that I could carry for you. There's only so much that I can do. You have to want to do something for yourself too. So,
Okay.
but there now relationships is just like they like you for the moment, and then when things get hard, people can't deal with when stuff get hard now. When stuff get hard, everybody's trying to run through the exit door, and that's not what relationships or marriages are. Relationships takes a lot of compromise. It takes a lot of loving people at times when you don't like them at the moment.
Yeah.
No, it takes a lot of that.
From my perspective, and this is something I wish I would have knew earlier, and I talked about it before on one of my other episodes, is like, as a man, I used to always date where I was currently at. Like, I never seen, because, and I tell men this too, women see a lot more in you than you see in your own self. Like, women can really see the potential. Like,
that'd be our problem though.
Yeah, but men also would date a woman who probably already reached her peak.
Mm-hmm.
So then you build that man up, right? You get him going, and now he's that guy, and then he's like, oh shoot, okay. Man, this woman's talking to me. This woman's talking to. So it's almost like you got. Yeah, I know you got to find. It's almost like you're building the house as the woman, and then some other woman is gonna live in the house.
Say it in Belizean saying, "We are say you're fighting chicken for possum," meaning you're getting the chicken ready for the possum to eat the chicken.
Yeah.
For somebody else to take what you build up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I see that a lot. Yeah.
It happens all the time.
Because men, we don't hit our peak until like 40s, mid 40s, early 50s.
We don't have no issue with that. And that's the thing. Like, we don't have an issue with that. The issue is that, again, you got to work with us just as much as we're working with you. And I don't feel like a lot of men don't do that. You guys don't have, some of you guys don't have the bandwidth. Like, men would rather exit, or they'll rather cheat, or if they feel like the grass is greener on the other side, they're going to hurry and jump to the other side rather than working through what you got to work through with your partner. And I'm not saying all of us are saints, because there's a lot of us that some of us make it difficult.
Sure do.
For you guys to work with us. Look, I did a lot of self-reflection in my time of singleness. I'm taking great use of my singleness right now.
But that's the most dangerous part. Because me and you, we've known each other for some years now. But that's like the most dangerous part of, like, once you figure out who you are, it gets even harder to date.
Yeah.
Like, because once you figure out like who you are,
because you're not settling for things that
you won't even accept the little things now. You're like,
that stuff. I'll be like, nah, I'm good. I'm good. Like, I don't want the temporary satisfaction. I want longevity. You know what I mean? I don't want the temporary stuff no more. No.
I noticed too, as a man, being very direct and honest is the best way. Just tell them what you want.
Please, because a lot of times we want the same thing that you want. You'd be surprised.
So, like, that's one of the big. I always tell guys, like, just be honest. Like, be honest.
We say that to you guys all the time. But I feel like men feel like we're gonna break if y'all tell us your honesty. Y'all feel like we're gonna die. We are not gonna die. We're gonna be perfectly okay. Like, please, like I'm a person. I'm very transparent.
Yeah.
I like to know what I'm dealing with, what I'm working with. Be honest with me. I'll be honest with you. Look. You tell me, hey, I'll be like, oh, that's what, okay, well, look, I'm on your page, or look, I can't do it. I'll be honest and say, look, I'm not in that position. I can't do it. Like, I can't deal with that. And we go our way, but.
All right. So, let's see here. I'm trying to see, we actually supposed to be talking about, dating outside of race, but, you don't really have a qualm with that. That's not really an issue for you. So now I'm just trying to ask questions so that men can hear a woman's very honest point of view, because I feel like social media has really tainted the woman's view of life. Like, I think a lot of the videos that go viral and stuff is just for that, to go viral. Like, how do you feel about being step parents, like stepmom, stepdad? Like, what is your thoughts about that?
So, okay. So in the last episode you had,
Yeah.
There are some things I agree with and some things that I don't.
Let's start with what you
What
didn't.
What I didn't agree with was, well, we were talking about some stuff about child support that I didn't fully agree with.
Yeah.
And what I didn't agree with that is that, you know, as far as like child support, me as a mother, I will still consider myself a single mother, but me as a mother of children have everyday needs. So if the absent parent isn't there, they need to get fed every single day. So I do believe there's a better way to allocate child support funds for the people who spending it frivolously and not on the children. Yeah, there could be a better way to allocate those funds. And if the money is for your children, you shouldn't have no issue with that. If it's like for me, if it's for my kids and you want to monitor how I'm spending it for my kids, I don't have no issue with it because it's for my kids. It's not for me.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But as far as like putting it in, I believe in the previous episode you were talking about putting it in a trust or a 401k. The idea of that is great. Putting a percentage in there, I fully agree. Maybe a percentage should be put in there. But again, children have everyday needs. So they have things that they need on a daily basis. So they would need some kind of income, you know, to cover those expenses. The other thing that we were talking about in that episode, I have an older son, and I agree with the fact that I wouldn't generally tell him to go be with a woman who has a child when he doesn't have a child.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's him adding more to his plate that he don't necessarily need to be added to his plate. Even if I had a girl child, I wouldn't advise her to put herself in that situation either. Because at the end of the day, you are not that child's parent. There's a lot of things that comes behind that. And a lot of times, ultimately making a decision for that child, you don't have a say-so in that. And that could hamper your relationship with that person and how let's say if you guys end up living together, you know, your household dynamic, all of that stuff. There are people that do it. And I commend, somebody did that for me. My ex-husband did that for me. He took me when I had a 1-year-old at the time, and he raised my son like my son was his own. But a lot of people, you know, it may not work for a lot of people. Do I recommend that for a lot of people? No, that wouldn't be my first choice either. But I don't think you should like smash the people that do.
Gotcha.
And you're a parent and you have, let's say in your instance, you have kids, I have kids. We could come together because we both know our experiences as you know, single parents. We could work together to manage the household. But if I didn't have a child, that would be different. You know what I mean?
What I experienced dating people with children, which what made it hard, is for people who don't know, I was in the military. I just recently retired. With that being said, my kids were always distance away, right? So we'll let her get back on here real second.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, you good. So for me, my children were always a distance away. So, you know, you start to feel a lot of guilt, right? Because like you're dating this woman, she has children, you're doing all these family things with her kids, and then I'm missing my daughter's softball games, you know, and so that type of stuff makes it very difficult with the distance. But I think if two people are in the same area, I think it's feasible. And then you were the first lady I ever heard say that you're okay with someone watching where the child support is allocated to. I think that's an amazing idea, because I feel like as a man, if you're already, when a woman comes to you to ask for extra, we should be able to see, okay, where did that other $1,100 go that I sent you at the beginning of the month?
Yeah.
600 of that didn't supposed to go to your rent. That's supposed to go to the kids. Like, so like, I think it's one of those things that it's just better ways that the system could help men out. Because I definitely feel you need to take care of your kids regardless. Like that, you know me already, but I feel like every man, if you can't take care of your kids, I have no empathy for men who don't take care of their kids. I don't get it. I will never understand it. Just let you guys know, Keisha was like, had to be a good person, because God blessed her with all boys.
He sure. No, honey.
So she got a good, like, she got all boys, so she was a good person. You know, she don't have to worry about no girl. I hear nothing like that. So
A different kind of stress, though. Yeah, kids in general are stressed, but boys are a different kind of stress. Boys are, well, my boys, I'll speak on my kids. My kids are very calm, but when they get to a certain age, like my son and I think Nevaeh, they're like the same age.
yeah, 20.
Yeah, my son's gonna be 20. He's gonna be 22. But when they get to that peak age,
Yeah.
he stressed me out. I ain't gonna hold you. He stressed me out. And it's now, I feel like girls are different in that aspect because a lot of girls at that age, like when they're from like 16 to 20, a lot of them already have their head on their shoulders as to look, they know what they want to do, you know where they're going. Boys are delayed in that area. When they get to that age, they're still confused about who they are and what they want to do with themselves and that kind of thing. So he stressed me out in that area, but now he's doing very well. Like he's finding himself, and I had to let go of the ropes, and that was very hard to do as a mom, is to like, Lord, he's my child, but he's your child. I just had to cover him with prayer and like, go ahead. So he's doing a lot better now though. Yeah, but boys is another stress though. We ain't off the hook with boys.
So before we wrap up today, what I always like to give anybody who comes up to speak, what would be something that if you knew sooner, or some advice that you wish you would have held on to that somebody gave you that you would like to give to the women or the world, anybody? Like, what would that be?
I have a lot of advice.
Go ahead.
Take time. And the biggest thing too is like, be authentically you. You get the most out of somebody when you allow them to be themselves, and you get the most out of yourself when you're yourself. You shine brighter when you're just yourself. It's hard to be somebody else. Those who mind don't matter, those who matter don't mind. So if you yourself, somebody loves you, they're gonna love you for you. What else could advice that I could give? God first.
Yes.
That's the number one. God first in anything that you do. If you don't hold on to not a relationship in your life, you need to hold on to that one.
Yeah.
You gotta hold on to that one, because he's the only person that could get us through any situation. He knows us better than we know ourselves. As far as relationship goes, I just wish we just give each other the same kind of energy, the same thing that we expect from others. I wish that we give the same thing. I'm not going to require from a man nothing that I myself cannot give you, so I believe just lead with love. Like he said, lead with love, mutual respect, compromise. That's all I got.
Okay. And what I'm two things for me. One message that I posted today was the first thing, I want us as a nation to learn how to adapt and change.
Change is inevitable.
Yeah, like I want us to start getting to the point where we understand that things are going to happen. The word tells you that you're going to go through trials and tribulations. Like, things are going to happen. You can't predict how they're going to happen, but be ready to pivot at time in life. And the second thing I would say is for the men, because I never thought I would say this, and I'm saying this today, probably because you're on here, but I'm going to say it anyway. No, because like for real, as men, when you find good people and good friends, be consistent with your communication.
Say that one more time.
No, like, be consistent with your communication and keep those people around, keep them close to you. Like, when I mean close to, that could be just checking on them on a weekly basis, because I'm bad at that. I'm bad at communication with anybody in my life. It ain't just friends, it's family. My sister.
I am about that all the time. I'll be like, oh, your communication is trash, sir.
Hey, like, and so that's one of the things I will leave you guys, and life is short, because you never know you could not check on your friend today and they gone tomorrow, and then you like, man, I was just thinking about texting them, I was just thinking about checking on them. And these are the same people who respond directly back to you when you have something or need some help. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I don't think I had known you more than a week or two before Nevaeh got here, and like I was like, I need somebody to do my daughter's hair. Like I don't know where to go, and like she was like, hey, I got you, don't worry about it, and we got it done. And like I really believe that it takes a village to raise a kid, man. So I appreciate you.
And this can go along with the whole like having stepchildren. Many of children that have not been my children, and my past relationships, even my ex and my past relationship, me and his daughter, we're like this. I call that daughter, you know what I'm saying? But it takes a village. It definitely takes a village. And I feel a lot of times if the other parents were more acceptable to that, I think I'll speak on some Black women type stuff. No, for real. And because I've met a lot of women that you have hate towards the other woman because of the relationship, however the relationship ended with you and the other partner, but the kids have nothing to do with it. You know what I'm saying? I've raised children who the woman didn't like me because of whatever happened between her and the ex at that time. But it takes a village to raise a child. Like I would love, like now me and my ex-husband, we have the greatest co-parenting relationship. Who would have thought? But it took a long time to get there. I'm not even gonna hold you. It took like years to get there. But we have a great co-parenting relationship now. And he's very present, but it took a long time to get there. And it's a lot of that had to do with his ex and how she felt about me, which had nothing to do with, the children. Yeah. But it takes a village, when you see a lot of couples that like the stepfather and the father get along, that's like the greatest of blessed environment that you want to have for your kids. You know what I mean? I want whoever, my kids, my ex-husband eventually end up to be with, love my children just like they love him. That would be a blessing to me. Yeah. So it's hard to find these days, but
it is.
What's your opinion on the white man and the Black woman? What's your feelings on that?
On what?
The white man with the Black woman.
Oh, nothing. Hey.
And
I really don't have any, man. I just be praying that he didn't get the wrong Black woman.
Oh Lord.
like real talk. I'd be like, but usually they don't. Usually they be with the Black lady in corporate America.
That's true. That's true.
Because our environments dictate how we date too.
Yeah, that's true.
If you work in an environment where you're around different races and it's higher level.
Solely just care about brunches, Norris. We don't solely just care about getting our hair done and looking good. A lot of us have a lot to offer. Okay, a lot of us are very educated. A lot of us are very family oriented. Okay. We have a lot to give. Let me put that out there for us, single. We have a lot.
Question for you. All your girlfriends, are they all different, are they all from the islands and all that? Like, or
we have African American. One of my besties, strictly African American, Wayne County, Virginia. Okay. My homegirl, she's African American. My other best friend, she is African. She's from Sierra Leone. I have a lot of good girlfriends that are African American and are well educated. Okay. Got their head on their shoulders, got their things together, but it's just we be finding trash.
So I'm gonna challenge you. We're coming to the end, but I'm gonna challenge you this. Let's see if we can get those ladies up here on the panel.
Oh, sure. I'll try to get on the panel for real. I need some homeboys on the panel too, because we need to have some real conversations.
Yeah, we do.
We do. Some of them are not outspoken like me though. So
that's fine though. Some people are good to just listen. Maybe they got a little gem here and there, so it'll be nice. I would love to, we don't get enough of that. We don't get enough of that. So hopefully. That's why I like Anton. Anton does a lot of night panels with different women and men, and you can hear their thoughts and opinions, And I tell people, let me say this too before we close. We as people need to understand that we don't have to agree with everything people say, But that doesn't mean, like, even today, that doesn't mean that you can't get something positive from me and Keish today, right? You might not agree with us 100%, but somewhere 20-30% of you got to be like, okay, that makes some sense, you know. And because I feel like as African Americans, our culture, once we hear one thing that we don't like, the rest
it
of
goes
it's
all
like,
everything else. Yeah.
yeah. So we got to start listening, man. Listen.
Listen to the whole story.
Yeah, definitely.
And you could give your good old opinion. Hopefully this will not be my last my first or last three on the podcast. Hint, hint, wink, wink.
And give them your stuff again so they can know where to follow you and everything.
TikTok, I do a lot of like motivational Mondays, scriptures of the day on my TikTok, and that's Empress Speaks Keish. My IG is Empress Speaks Keish. My podcast, you can find me on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and that's Empress Speaks Fashion, Faith, Love, Life. I do have to get, I'm not gonna lie to y'all, I've been slacking on my podcast because
we all do.
Yeah, I've been doing more of like my motivational Mondays and stuff like that on my TikTok. But I'm gonna really try to like get back into doing my podcast. And I prefer this kind of platform to where, you know, I have somebody that I could discuss things with and talk about stuff with, because I have a lot of stuff that, you know, we want to talk about a lot of things too, and we want to have the male perspective. So I really appreciate you having me on here today, because I definitely we need to have the male perspective and female perspective. Again, my ending for this whole thing is just like lead with love. Like he said, just lead with love. I don't care if you date a white woman, black woman, Spanish woman. I don't care, but don't bash you ain't got to bash the sisters while doing it. Don't. Your preference is your preference, but don't bash the sisters while doing it. That's all. And we love our black men. We need you guys. We love you guys. But you know,
it's good to hear, guys. I hope you guys are taking that in. They need us. You heard the N word. They need us.
Yes, we love you guys and we need you guys, and you guys are really appreciated. You are. And I don't just need you for your money. I don't need you to take me out to restaurants and fine dining. No, I want to know who you are as a person. I want to know what's in your heart. You know what I mean? That's what I want to know. Yeah. So, you know.
Well, I appreciate you. I thank you again for taking time away from your brunches, your cruises, your beach trips. It's amazing.
That's all I do. Listen, like he said, life is short. Take that trip. Use that PTO, okay?
When y'all go follow her. Y'all see her. When y'all follow her, you'll see what I'm talking about. They always doing something.
Yes. I like to have fun, and who doesn't like brunch? Everybody likes brunch.
You know, that's a DMV thing. Brunch.
We love brunch out here. I'm a foodie. I like food, specifically brunch. But yes, I'm a
Well, I appreciate you again. I know the kiddos are doing good. I will tell Vea you said hi, and we appreciate it. And we'll be on here soon.
In town. Listen, gotta do an ice cream meetup or something.
Well, I appreciate you. Okay.
All right.
And we out.
Bye.